We got more clips from mini camps and OTAs, and we're going to get another look at the San Francisco 49ers, and we're going to get another look at Ricky Pearsall. It's been a while since we looked at him, but we got some clips that recently popped up. We're going to go over them. We're going to watch him run through some drills and catch some balls. But before we do all that, you need to click that subscribe button right now. We're going hard in the paint looking at these rookies every single day this offseason. We're looking at rookie camp, OTAs, minicamp, and soon training camp. Everything behind the scenes with your favorite players will be right here, especially with your veterans. Click that button. Stop missing out on what your players are doing at practice. We're looking at Ricky Pearsall. I have 33 seconds of clips, so we're going to watch him run through some drills, and we're going to keep looping the video and talking ball. But you'll notice he's very sudden. Here's another one. Just very quick feet. Quick feet. Nice and choppy, sudden. That is what you're going to get out of him. I got a lot to say about Ricky Pearsall. I'll definitely want to talk about him. This is something I just pulled. I don't know how old this one is. It could be from rookie camp, but it was new to me. Cinematic footage. We covered his rookie camp, but I had to show it because it was new to me. And that's the rules. If it's new to me, I show it. Here's another one. It was from the same video. Ricky Pearsall is the most fascinating wide receiver in this year's draft. He got drafted in the first round, and a lot of people liked him, but a lot of people did not think he was a first-round pick. However, after thinking about the pick, thinking about this team, thinking about what they like, and how they invested at the wide receiver position over the last few years or over a while, they like guys like Ricky Pearsall, guys who are very nuanced, guys who are very assertive, getting in and out of their breaks, guys who damn near break their ankles to make that break off the route, guys who are very assertive off the release, guys with a my ball mentality. Think of Brandon Aiyuk, think of Deebo Samuel. They got a type, and that's not a comparison, but that's a comparison of mentality of the player and how they play the game. He compares somewhat, not really, but more like a Brandon Aiyuk, but different. Brandon Aiyuk's different. It's not a comparison, but how they play the game. Deebo, there's never going to be another Deebo. Deebo is like a wide receiver you get every so often, and you use him a certain way. But when it comes to breaking off routes, both Aiyuk and Pearsall are very assertive breaking off routes. Ayuk's nasty after the catch. Ayuk's gotten a lot better over the course of his career. He also was a jaw dropper when he got drafted. However, he turned out to be a good player. Ricky Pearsall on this team fits with how this team is building at the wide receiver position. Wide receivers who are very assertive, who are very nasty at the catch point, who will fight for that ball. Guys who are getting better over time, because we're seeing that with Ricky Pearsall from when he was a freshman in college to the end of his collegiate career. We see him fight, running routes, getting balls. At the Senior Bowl, one of the top prospects there. And if you're watching college football on Saturdays and you're just scrolling Twitter trying to keep up with the other games going on, you will catch Ricky Pearsall highlights because he can make those big grabs. If you're here for fantasy football, one thing I'll say about Ricky Pearsall is at the moment he got drafted in the first round, the market soured on him, and they kind of dropped him, and he became a buy. For a first-round wide receiver, him falling in rookie drafts to the middle of the second round, the odds for first-round wide receivers increase, and once you pump a first-round wide receiver down the board, whether you like them or not, you kind of got to make that investment once they get to a certain price tag. And then on top of that, we understand opportunity costs of the other wide receivers on the board, but I get what the 49ers did. I'm not saying that he was the best one, but I get what they did. I'm not going to say he was a bad player because all offseason long, I've been saying he was one of my guys. I wasn't expecting him to go in the first round. I was expecting him to surprise some people in the second round. I was expecting that. Early, mid-second round, I was expecting that. So the fact that he went in the first, I wasn't too far off on that. My jaw did not hit the floor. Like, I wasn't super surprised as everybody else. I was expecting him to go in the second round, especially as we got closer to the draft. You heard more rumblings about Ricky Pearsall, and you did not hear anybody say anything bad about Ricky Pearsall. A lot of people hamper on his college production and his age, but it was a weird career. We started off at Arizona State. Part of that Arizona State career, or that part of his career, was that 2020 season. We had some flipping quarterbacks, the coaching issues there, and then we transferred to Florida, lower volume passing offense, but we still owned a large percentage of the workload there. Anthony Richardson was the quarterback that one year, and the passing production was very low. The next year, it kind of boosted up a little bit, but he still owned a large market share of the passing production. Every year he improved. He's a stout runner. When you're looking at him for fantasy and sheer production, you'll have to see, because there's a lot of other things that needs to happen. Something with Deebo, something with Aiyuk. I know there's going to be contract decisions with them, so I'm not going to predict on that because honestly, it's hard to know what would happen. A lot of times, a lot of people will peg a veteran wide receiver or just a veteran at any position to go somewhere else or to leave, and they get a deal done. So you want to be open-minded to everything, and Ricky Pearsall is in a situation where he can help a football team. For fantasy football, a first-round wide receiver going for a cheap price tag in rookie drafts. In basic redraft leagues, he's a lottery ticket wide receiver that maybe you're plucking off waivers middle of the year. Maybe you take a shot with one of your last picks, and with your last picks, it's whoever's on the board that you like, really, that has some upside. But I suggest that they're young. I usually shoot at the running back position. But wide receivers, the first few weeks of the year, you want to look at just in case they exceed expectations. Wide receivers, when they're young rookies, they tend to hit pretty quick, especially younger rookies and sophomores. That being said, take shots early in the year. After that, take shots at running back. But I do the running backs all year long and try to have a slew of young running backs and just mix and match with them. But Niners fans, I think you guys got a wide receiver that fits the mold of how you're building your team. I think you guys got a wide receiver, very assertive getting in and out of breaks, very strong hands, who's only gotten better. I think he's going to be able to pick up the schemes very quickly. I think he's going to be a good asset to the team. And if you can keep Deebo and Aiyuk together and have him on top of that, that could be nasty. That could be nasty. That could be a nasty core. Nobody's really talking about that because they're really looking at the negative of Deebo and Aiyuk. But what if they're able to string it together? What if they are? What if they're able to put the pieces together with that trio? Or what if one leaves and they get another guy in? And now you got this built wide receiver depth chart. That could be nasty. That could be a tough group of wide receivers to stop every single week on top of Kittle, on top of Christian McCaffrey, on top of all that. That could be nasty. Just keep adding talent at the wide receiver spot. And the thing is, in these drafts these days, it's always deep with wide receiver from the top to the bottom with talent. And you just got to make sure you get the right fit for your team. When we came into this year's draft, we had about 20 wide receivers who received grades of day 2 or better. And all of them were jockeying for position. It was a deep market. Usually you get 9 to 12 wide receivers, somewhere around that range. This year you had about 20. Which means some wide receivers fell. Some wide receivers went in some weird spots. But a lot of teams, if you really watched how teams drafted these wide receivers, those wide receivers in that range of that day 2 grade, they all went to teams that fit. Think about Keon Coleman, Josh Allen, Malachi Corley to the Jets, going to be like the Randall Cobb guy for Aaron Rodgers. Just think about that. Ricky Pearsall, a separator who's aggressive, assertive, just like the other wide receivers. You think about that. A lot of teams got their fits. Colts got A.D. Mitchell, who needed a field stretcher at the top end on the opposite side of Pittman. Just look at these wide receivers, and they all went to where they fit because they all had similar grades, and teams were like, hey, I'm going to get the one that fits their scheme. That's what we're going to do. That's what the NFL said. That's what they showed their hand to do in this draft. They're saying, hey, if the talents are a lot alike, we're going to pick up the wide receiver that fits our scheme, and we're going to keep it moving because we need to keep our offense moving, and we do not want to make changes to our offense. Whether you disagree or not with how they pick their wide receivers that way, that's what they showed us. I just rattled off 3 or 4 teams off my head, and there's many more that did that and showed their hand in this year's draft. When a team wants to show you what they want to do with their team or in the future, or how they're going to build their team, it's with their transactions, draft picks, trades, pickups, signings, all that stuff. And they showed the whole league as a macro, or most of the league, or a lot of the league, showed with their hand what they want to do and what they want to add at the wide receiver spot with the wide receivers they picked up in this year's draft. They did not go top to bottom in the rankings per these websites. They went with what would fit best with their team, because I guarantee you they had a batch of wide receivers graded about the same. They're like, this guy fits the best. Let's roll with this guy. And I'm going to tell you this, that Ricky Pearsall fits very well with the San Francisco 49ers. When it comes to sheer production, we shall see for fantasy football, not maybe over time. It's got to be a scheme thing. It's also got to be with the other wide receivers there, with the volume of targets. But 49ers fans, I think at the wide receiver spot, considering that you guys got to make some decisions with some contracts here, I think you got yourselves a very good wide receiver prospect. Let me know what you think in the comments below. Make sure to hit that subscribe button on the way out. I want to thank you for watching. Catch you on the next video.